Good morning, boys. Till part 2 in science, we saw till gravitational force. Now, part 3, we will begin with the fourth type, that is magnetic force. Let's see what is magnetic force now. Place a magnet on a table, take a big iron nail towards the magnet. It sticks to the magnet. Now, hold the magnet upright in the air, away from the nail. What happens? The force exerted by a magnet is called magnetic force. Boys, you know what is a magnet, right? It tries to attract all the objects which are made up of iron. So when you bring the magnet near the iron nails, what will happen to it? All the nails will get stuck to the magnet. Yes or no? So let's see in the video now. Here you will see what we remember first. We saw till part 2 the force applied with the help of muscles is called muscular force. Yes or no? The machines are run by using fuel and electricity is called automatic machines. Okay. And the next one, the force applied by means of a machine is called mechanical force. So we have stopped till mechanical force. Then we saw gravitational force. The force applied by the earth to pull objects towards itself is called gravitational force. Greater force is required to lift the greater weight. Gravitational force acting on an object is called the weight of that object. Now, what are magnets? You can see here. See the picture properly. Here you can see so many things. Yes. Now you can see a fridge where you can see a smiley which is stuck on the outer face of the fridge. That is a sticker. You know, such type of stickers get a small magnetic circular rod which is behind it so that you can stick it. The substances having a property to attract certain materials are called magnets. Now, what are magnets? Classification of materials. Let's see what are classification of material. Magnetic material. The material which are attracted by the magnets are called as magnetic materials. For example, iron, cobalt, and nickel are examples of magnetic. Which are non-magnetic? The materials which are not attracted by the magnets are called as non-magnetic materials. For example, plastic, rubber, and wood. If you try to bring plastic, rubber, and wood near the magnet, it won't get stuck to the magnet because they are non-magnetic materials. Here you can see a magnetic bar, horseshoe magnet, cylindrical magnet, and ball ended magnets. You can see iron nails on the table here. Okay. Now let's see how this iron nail gets stuck to this particular magnet. Which type of magnet it is? Horseshoe magnet. So as soon as bring the magnet close to the nails, nail gets stuck to the magnets. What is the reason? Because iron is made up of, nails are made up of iron. Got it? So when you bring the magnet, the magnetic force of the attraction tries to attract the nails towards itself, and so the nails get attracted to the magnet. What is magnetic force now? The force exerted by the magnet is called as magnetic force. Understood? Before going to frictional force now, let's see first in the textbook. Come to your page number 73. What is frictional force? When a carom piece is flicked lightly, it slides over the carom board but stops at a certain distance. A ball rolling over a flat ground stops at a certain distance. Why does this happen? Now, when you try to hit a striker on a carom board, yes, first what you do when you play a carom board, when you put a board down on the ground, first you try to put some powder on it. Why? So that the carom, yes, all the striker tries to move smoothly on the carom board. So how it moves? What is the reason for moving? It causes friction with the carom board. Understood? So if there is no powder on the carom board, the striker when you tries to hit with your finger, it will not move fast. To increase its speed, what you do is you put powder on the carom board. So why the speed is more when you put a powder? Because the friction is more with the carom board. The area becomes smooth. Same thing happens a ball rolling over a flat ground stops at a certain distance. Why does this happen? When two surfaces rub against each other, the force of friction comes into play. It always acts against the direction of the motion. When a brake is applied while riding a bicycle, it stops after running a short distance. Yes or no? Why the brakes are applied to the bicycle? To stop the bicycle. Yes or no? So as soon as you apply a brake, the bicycle stop there and there? No. It tries to move certain distance and then it stops. Means what happens? Slowly the speed becomes less. So what exactly happens between the wheel and the brakes? There is a friction. Understood? Because of the friction, the speed becomes less of the bicycle. How does the brake work? Between which part is friction produced? Let's see down in the video now. Okay. See here, frictional force. The boy is moving and on the floor, the place which is wet, some water is spilled over there. So what happens to the boy? It tries to fall down or slips down. Direction of motion here and direction of friction force. You can see he is moving in his own direction, but as the surface is wet, what happens to him? He slips down. That is the reason the friction is caused between his legs and the wet surface. Because of that, he is not getting that grip to walk, and because the surface is muddy or slippery, he slips down. Force acting opposite to the direction of motion is called frictional force. The force which is exerted to the opposite direction is called as frictional force. Before going to electrostatic force, let's go to the textbook here first. There is one activity which is given. Take two pieces of smooth paper and two of sandpaper and rub them against each other. You know what is sandpaper? The paper which you get in the shop, which is especially used for polishing the wood. The wood which is used for making the cupboards, making the table, when you mold the wood into logs. What are logs, you know, no? With the logs only you make the cupboard, make the table. Understood? So when this wood is being cut in the factory, yes, that time the surface of the wood is very rough. So to make it smooth, what is used is the sandpaper. Sandpaper, outer portion of the sandpaper is very rough. When you try to rub that sandpaper on the wood becomes smooth. So what exactly happens here? The friction takes place between the sandpaper and the wood. So when you try to take two pieces of smooth paper and if you take two of sandpaper and rub against each other, what will happen? The smooth surface can be easily rubbed against each other because the force of friction between them is less. While rough surfaces cannot be easily rubbed against each other because the force of friction between them is much greater. So when you take two stones which are very rough, their surface is very rough, and when you try to rub against each other, can you easily rub it? No, not possible. Why? Because the surface is very rough. But if you take two stones which are very smooth and if you try to rub against each other, you can easily rub it. What is the reason? The reason is that because the surface is smooth. It is possible for us to walk on the ground only because of the force of friction. If there is no friction, we will slip and fall. Same thing happens in your school, no? When you walk on the corridor. Yes, you can see the surface of the corridor is smooth. And when you try to run on that, what happens? Your shoes get slipped and you fall down. So you have to walk slowly on the floor when you walk. So friction takes place between the smooth surface and your shoes, and that's why you fall down. For example, we are very likely to slip while walking on an oily or wet floor. Why is a wooden plank laid down for pulling out a car which is stuck in mud? Have you seen a car which is stuck in mud? What happens there? First of all, why the car gets stuck in the mud? Because the mud has become wet. When there is excess of water in the mud becomes soft. So when the wheel gets stuck in the mud and if you try to pull it out, it won't come out. The wheel will start on moving there and there at one place and it will not come out from the mud. So what is the way of removing the wheel out is putting a wooden plank below the wheel. So wooden plank is rough, the surface is rough. So because of that, the friction takes place between the wooden plank and the wheel, and so the wheel can be easily pulled out of the car. A force of friction is generated between the wheel and the wooden plank laid down under the car. Hence, it can be pulled out from the mud. In short, the force of friction can either be decreased or increased as desired. Then come to electrostatic force. Before going to electrostatic force, let's see the video of the electrostatic force here. Electrostatic force. You can see the table over there. Yes. Can you guess what is the meaning of electrostatic force? You can see the scale rub against the dry hair and then brought to the pieces of paper. What happens? All the pieces of paper get stuck to the plastic scale. Have you done this experiment anytime? Try this out. Put some pieces of paper on the floor and take a plastic scale and rub it for a while on your hair and then bring that part to the pieces of paper. All the pieces of paper will get stuck to the scale. Now, what is electrostatic force? Static electricity is produced on materials like rubber, plastic, and ebonite due to friction. The force exerted by such electrically charged material is called electrostatic force. So, electrostatic force is generated only in rubber, plastic, and ebonite. You can see combined forces. Before going to this, let's see first in the textbook what is given as electrostatic force. Spread small pieces of paper on a table, rub a piece of thermocol or an inflated balloon against silk cloth and bring it near these pieces. That's what is said. Rubber, cloth or plastic. All these things, when you try to rub for a while, it consists of static force. The force is created in them which can try to attract the other things. Rub a plastic comb against dry hair and repeat the above activity. Rub a peacock feather between two pages of a notebook and bring it near your finger. What do you see? In the above activities, the pieces of paper, hair, and the peacock feather are seen to move. Why does this happen? Static electricity is produced on materials like rubber, plastic, and ebonite due to friction. The force exerted by such electrically charged material is called electrostatic force. What are combined forces now? Let's see the video. Combined forces. You can see a lady who is standing on a table there and who is trying to clean the crops or the grains by just shifting. Understood? So this is called as shifting method, from which all the unwanted things from the grains are removed out and then you can get a clear grains down. This is called as shifting. Okay. Now what are combined forces? Let's see. Combined means combination of two. Understood? That is called as combined forces. When an action is taking place, various types of forces acts on an object which is in concentration, that we called as combined forces. In the next video, we will see revision of this chapter. Okay. So before this, go to the combined force and see here. While an action is taking place, various types of forces acts on the object in question. You might have seen a roller coaster or the juggling of a sail board on the seashore. A variety of forces acts together in these cases. To obtain more information about this type, the word trick science in Google search on the internet and you can get more information about combined forces. Means if you take the example of muscular force, there only the force of muscles is applied. If you take the example of magnetic force, there only magnetic force is applied. If you take the example of gravitational force, only gravitational force is applied. But combined force is not only a single force, but it is a combination of many forces together. Examples are given of a roller coaster and a sailboat. Understood, no? So sailboat uses wind. Understood. So wind is a kind of force which is applied there. Okay. Then with the waves, the person tries to move. So their friction also is caused with the sea, boat, and the water. So frictional force is also there. If it is moving with the machine, then mechanical force is also applied. If the person is sailing the boat with the hands, muscular force is also applied. So this comes as the combination force. Understood? So what we learned from this chapter now? Force is required to bring about any action. Force is necessary for making an object move to change the direction of motion and also to change the shape of an object. There are various types of forces such as muscular force, mechanical force, gravitational force, magnetic force, frictional force, and electrostatic force. Now let's see the revision. Let's find out how much you understood. Okay, I want to check out how much you understood here. Force and types of force revision, class 6. Force is a push or a pull which tries to change or changes the state of rest of a body. To pull, push, lift, and bend the objects, we need to apply force. The force applied with the help of muscles is called muscular force. Machines are run by using fuel and electricity is called automatic machines. The force applied by means of machines is called mechanical force. The force applied by earth to pull objects towards itself is called gravitational force. Greater force, the substances having a property to attract certain materials like iron, cobalt, and nickel are known as magnets. Force exerted by magnet is called magnetic force. Force opposite to the direction of motion is called as frictional force. So you saw in frictional, static electricity is produced on materials like rubber, plastic, and ebonite due to friction. The force exerted by such electrically charged material is called electrostatic force. And when an action is taking place, various types of forces acts on an object, which is consideration that we call as combined forces. Understood? So that is what you saw here. How many types of forces? First one was muscular force, mechanical force, electrostatic force, gravitational force, magnetic force, frictional force, combined forces. Okay, now exercise is given down. Yes, all the question answers below which are given in these exercises will be sent to you in a PDF file. Understood? So you have to go on the MyD School app and check out for the PDF file of these question answers and copy down in your notebook. You are going to prepare 200 pages long book sketch for the science. Already you have prepared first book in the first term. Now you are going to prepare new book for the second term. In that your first page will be your name, standard, roll number and division. Second page will be index. In index, first column will be serial number. Second column will be date. Third column will be topic or the chapter. And fourth column will be signature. So first write today's date or the date when you receive your PDF file from the assignment. Whenever you start copying your question answers, put the same date. On that day only you put the date. Write chapter number. Then write force and types of force. take a new page. On the new page, again, you are going to write the heading of the lesson and start writing question answers, which will be sent to you in the PDF file. See that you complete your book. Handwriting should be neat and clean. Do not make any mistakes. And if you have doubts regarding this lesson, if you have not understood any type of force or any type of topic which is not cleared, you can ask the doubt when you have the online class to the teacher. Okay, the teacher will help you out in clearing your doubts. Is it clear, boys? So all the notes will be sent to you in the form of PDF. Kindly complete your notes. I hope I have made myself clear. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, have a good day. Thank you.